Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number 1 in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
What's going on, everybody? It's time for Tiger Claw Radio. Episode 302. What a week it's been. Yes, it feels good to be back after only 1 week instead of taking one off. Let's see. We got a whole new library system on Steam. We got GOG Galaxy 2.0. We got Junkmaker Sounds closing. We got a new Green Leo album out. Yes, that's me. I have a new album out. We've got other game-related things to talk about. This week, instead of Vaporwave, instead of chiptunes, I've been kind of feeling like some shoegaze lately. Some good old-fashioned rock and roll. But I don't have a whole lot of shoegaze. One I do have is an album called Infinity Girl. What is the album called? Somewhere Nice Someday. It's a good album. Only problem is the cassette that I bought sounds like garbage. They bought this. They made like a boombox mix that sounds really bad. Like their music is really great, but they made a boombox mix that doesn't sound great, and they got that professionally duplicated. So it's bizarre. You get their tape, and it looks like a really quality tape, but then you put it in your tape deck and you listen to it, and it's like, oh, not so good. So we're gonna listen to the digital copy of Infinity Girl. It is a quality album. I promise you, it's a quality album. We're gonna dig some shoegaze together, and when we come back, we're going to the van to talk about some video games. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Stick with me.
Who wants shoe glaze on their donuts?
Back again in the studio. That's called Dread the Snow. It's a 12-song album. It's got a lot of heavy distortion, which I dig. Heavy distortion, but a nice slow tempo. All right, boys and girls, you know what we like to do. We're going to Tarantino it back to the beginning of the week. We're going to the van. Stick with us. Tiger Claw Radio. Morning, everybody. It's Monday. Monday morning at 6:20. It is 63 degrees outside. A nice, brisk fall morning. Hope you got your pumpkin spice coffee. Hope you got your pumpkin spice hot tea. Hope you got your eggnog. Hope you got your apple cider. Hope you got your, I don't know, bag of apples or whatever it is you got for the fall. Because it's here, man. You can just start to see as you drive down the road, not right now because it's pitch black outside, but in the afternoons, you can just start to see the yellowing of the leaves. Certain trees, you know how some trees change early, those trees are starting to change. So you don't quite have the yellow and orange horizon like you do late in the fall. But hang on a second, let me fix that. but you can still see it coming, which is pretty cool. Spent this morning with my son hanging out in the studio. We took a look at GOG a little bit, and we played Polestar, the Neo Geo shmup, and he got to see that for the first time, so that was pretty cool. That's an awesome game. Really hard and really slow paced, but a great shmup. So that was fun. I used my old Microsoft Sidewinder controller, which is feels like a really early predecessor to the Xbox 360 controller. It feels like it uses a lot of the same components as the Xbox 360. Xbox 360 had this terrible D-pad that was like a half walnut shell, and this gamepad seems to have like the same D-pad on it, despite being made like 10 plus years prior. But it was fun to use for playing a shmup. Good way to wake up, man. By the way, last week's TCR, or the one from 2 weeks ago, episode 300, I noticed that Podomatic wouldn't publish it, and I wrestled with Podomatic really hard, but it wouldn't go. And this week seemed to go fine, episode 301. So I think, I don't know if it's a new limitation or what, but Podomatic seems to have problems with episodes that are over 2 hours. So I'm not saying that I'm not going to do them anymore, but yeah, if it was a really long episode of TCR, on any given week, and it just happens to be missing from Podomatic, that'd be why. Remember, you can get on Google and look up Listen to YouTube, and you can get an MP3 of any video that exists on YouTube, including Tiger Claw Radio. So if anything happens to the MP3 distribution, as long as it's on YouTube, you can get yourself a copy for your phone or old school raw MP3 player. You can listen to it on your Zune or whatever else you got going there. Good stuff. Alright, so apart from Polestar, what have I been playing? Not much, actually. I went over to DMT Tapes FL this morning, and I started pulling albums to get some fresh vaporwave for the car. Pulled like 5 or 6 albums. And I've been working with Famitracker a bit, putting the finishing touches on a new EP, which is going to be 4 songs, and took an unbelievable amount of work. That should be going up this Wednesday. So by the time you're listening to this, there's a new Green Leo album out that I made that you guys can go get. All right, time for the grocery store. See you guys in just a minute. The sun's coming up now. Never underestimate a good sunrise, man. I know it's like the cliche thing to like, right? But I still dig it. When I worked in construction, when I was in plumbing, hold on a second. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go this way. That's probably easier. I didn't have a car, so I would ride the bus to work, and it took quite a while. 2 hours or some odd riding the bus, 5 o'clock in the morning. I had some pretty treacherous bus rides back in the day. Through some cold weather. This was probably like 2000, 2001. And I just remember freezing at the bus stop with my coat on, feeling colder than I ever felt in my entire life. Finally getting on the bus, and then sitting on the bus and watching the sunrise across southern Maryland, riding into my construction gig. And as bad as things got, that sunrise was still awesome to see, man. It was the coolest. I think at that point in my life, that was probably like the one nice thing I had, was watching the sunrise from the bus into work in the morning. It's still cool to see. Still cool after all these years. Yeah, so I like this time when it's dark out, but it's dark out when I leave for work, but the sun's up by the time I get there. I dig that, man. Have to get me some apple cider. All right. So what fall games? What's a good fall themed game? You think? Something that's not Minecraft. Jeez Louise. I like to play Minecraft, and I put a mod on so that the leaves turn orange. Actually, that sounds pretty cool. A nice autumn-themed mod pack for Minecraft. That actually sounds like it could be a lot of fun. I really can't think of one though. Apart from that, what's a good fall game? You know what? I have the perfect fall game. Quake. It's the perfect game for fall because everything's brown and it matches the leaves. So there you go. Celebrate the fall season by playing Quake. Crank up the difficulty really hard for Christmas coming just around the corner. The showering of blood over the brown leaves makes for the perfect holiday treat. You know, not many video games to play right now with the new baby in the house, but I think it might be time to revisit an old strategy. When my son was born, and I know this is something I've said many times on the air, I used to play the Atari, and I played the Atari because I could play it for just 30 seconds and then hang it back up again, right? No loading screen, no title screen. You just fire it up and you're in Space Invaders. There you go. You play until you're done and you write your score down and you turn it off, and all of that takes place in under 1 minute. That's what I need now in my life. I have my Atari hooked up. It's still hooked up to my old tube TV. I think I even still have my pile of games I got from MagFest last year and a pile next to it, but I haven't played it much. The last time I played it, I was trying to figure out Slot Machine, which was a game in big air quotes for the Atari. And the problem I was having was that Slot Machine is one of these games where you have to use the right controller and not the left controller, and every other game uses the left controller. So I messed with it for like an hour before I figured out how to do it. But I bought Slot Machine, along with a bunch of others at MagFest last year. So darn it, I spent my $3 on it. I'm going to figure it out. I think it might be time to revisit the old Atari. Last time I messed with the Atari doing my high score challenges, they kind of died out, which is really the way the high score challenges go. Do the first one after not having done one for a while, and there's a little excitement. People get in on the game as long as you pick one that everybody has. We do them a few weeks in a row, and there's less and less competition, and eventually we kind of get over it. That's how I left the Atari, was doing high score challenges with the last few remaining competitors. Now it's time to dust it off, I think. I got games in that stack I haven't played yet. It's time to play them, right? Maybe the best autumn-themed game is Berserk. Celebrate the fall with your impending doom in a robot death maze. An inescapable robot death maze. That's Berserk, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, what are we, 9.5 minutes in? I don't know what I'm looking forward to this weekend, to be honest. It's a million miles away, and you know how it goes. Whatever it is I feel like playing now, by the time the weekend actually gets here, my head will be in a completely different space. I kind of want to play with Linux Multimedia Studio, good old LMMS. I had that going on my tiny little laptop a couple nights back, and I was using my little MIDI USB MIDI keyboard, and I had some pretty decent jams going. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, I guess. But yeah, as far as gameplay is concerned, I'm not sure. I spent a lot of time cleaning up my office yesterday and the day before. So with everything cleaned up, I usually get the urge to revisit something I haven't played in a long time. That's usually how that goes. But we'll see. The weekend is a ways away. I've got 5 office days to figure out how it is I want to spend my time. And we will meet back up tomorrow and see how it goes. I forgot since we recorded that I was thinking about the Atari at the beginning of the week. It would be nice to play some Atari again. I still have a stack of Atari games from last year at MagFest that we got, and it's sitting down by my Atari. They haven't been filed away. And we've been talking about MagFest quite a lot in the last week, and more about that later. For now, we're going to return to the Infinity Girl album with, I don't know, one of these songs. We'll compare notes when we come back. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Stick with us. Taking your picture. Heck of an album. Really underrated. I feel like I should listen to them more. But, because I bought that. I don't think that one's free. I think it's like a couple of bucks for the digital copy. But I got mine along with the tape. And I think I kind of overlooked it because I was so disappointed with the tape quality. Good tracks, though. Really good tracks. All right, boys and girls. We're 19 minutes and 30 seconds in. This is the time I like to take just a few seconds to thank the sponsors. These guys are literally bringing the show back every single week. The exception of 2 weeks ago. Sorry about that. So I like to give them my thanks. They get early access to the show. I mean, this is Friday night. So as soon as it's done tonight, I'll put it up so that they can listen to it. And they also get their names read off here in a Hall of Distinguished Gentlemen. They are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and Konstantin Kelman. Thank you guys very much, and I hope you guys are partying and playing some games and listening to some tunes and having a good time. And with that, let's get back to it. We got a lot more van casting and fun stuff, fun video games to discuss. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Let's go to the van. Morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning. It's 57 degrees outside, nice and chilly. And we are off to work. And what a week it's been. Super busy. Busy at work, busy at home, busy everywhere you look. Worked a 10-hour shift at the office yesterday. Came home and helped out all I could. And now I'm going back to work. And today I got scouts. I just can't get a break. Nice morning though. 57 degrees. Nice and chilly. Got my hat on. I'm off to the races. And it feels good, man. Fall's definitely my favorite time of year. Alright, so a number of things to talk about since the last one. I got invited to the GOG Galaxy 2.0 closed beta, which I wasn't expecting. That was really cool, man. I was very happy about that. So I got Galaxy 2.0 installed, and I started messing around with it. When I first installed it, it looked like it functioned the same way as the old one without any real difference, with the exception of, okay, maybe the skin has changed a little bit, but it's still the same thing, right? So then I started connecting some of the other accounts that I have. You can go in there and connect it to your Steam account, connect it to your if you have accounts with Uplay and Origin and Epic Store and all that. I started getting all that hooked up. I wasn't impressed at first because my Steam collection is very large, and there's certain games that I have on both Steam and GOG.com that would just show up next to each other. Like, okay, you've got 2 copies of Aquanox 1 and 2 now. So, we're not talking about something that's going to replace Steam by any stretch of the imagination. But where I think it really shines with this tool is the connection of the peripheral services. My Epic Games collection is now listed. And I got a couple of games on Epic Games, not many. I haven't bought anything there, but they give out a free game every couple of weeks. That's how I got Fez, the Phil Fish game that everyone used to like, even though they hated Phil Fish. I managed to get that from Epic Games during a giveaway. That way I could get it and not have to give old Phil any money. Alright, I've got to gas up, ladies and gentlemen. Put this on pause for just a bit. I hate it that gas pumps have this thing now where they roll advertisements for you while you're standing there waiting. It's like, let me just have 5 seconds of peace to just stare off into the horizon before I go into the office. Now you gotta know about pop culture references, man. Catch it on Netflix. Get all the latest gossip here at the gas pump. No, I just want to turn all of that down and let my eyes glaze over and wait for that click that says my tank is full. I don't want to get all the gossip. No, I don't want any of that. Just give me some quiet. That's what I like. Alright, so Galaxy 2.0. So, it doesn't do... There's a lot of stuff that it doesn't do. Well, there's a few things I wanted from Galaxy 2.0 that it doesn't seem to do. It doesn't let me put shortcuts to Galaxy launch games, right?
So the reverse, like, it's supposed to unify the platforms, but the reverse is not true. So I can still make it a GOG shortcut on my desktop, and it'll launch the GOG game and play the DRM-free game, and that's great. But what it will not do is launch through Galaxy and then record my time. So I can't make a Steam shortcut, like in Steam, that will launch Galaxy games and record my time. That's unfortunate. So if you like launching games from your desktop, then yeah, it won't track your time. That's something I hope they fix in the future. What was the other thing? There was more than that. That was the big one. That was the biggest one. Because then it would open up, even just maintaining my Steam library without necessarily making the jump to Galaxy as my go-to Steam launcher, or my go-to game launcher. That would open up the GOG library for more use from me. But it doesn't do that, so that sucks a little bit. Also, the handling of non-GOG games, like individually adding games, works really weird. I don't want to comment on it too much because I have to play with it more. Hopefully, wow, look at that sunrise. Hopefully it works just fine, and it's just that I haven't played with it enough. Because I spent most of the time looking through my other collections via GOG. But what I like is that it separates your different... I mean, you can click all games and it'll mash it all together, but it does separate your games into tabs. So like I was talking about how Aquanox appeared together, the Steam version and the GOG version. You can look at just your GOG games and it will take care of that for you a little bit. That way, if you've got one game across tons of platforms, which does happen, then it won't be a problem. So that's cool. Maybe I'll finally play Sims 4 a little bit more. I used to really like the Sims games. I played Sims 3 quite a bit. And then I got the Sims 4 in some sort of sale. Oh boy, there's some cops here. I'm going to put my phone down so that I don't get busted for talking into it. There we go. And as far as I know, hands-free, what I'm doing is fine. I'm not texting, so I'm not doing anything illegal, but I don't want to get harassed. What was I saying? Yeah, so I bought Sims 4, but I never really gave it a fair shake because they insisted on going directly through Origin. So if you want to play Sims 4, you got to go through Origin. Origin. Now, EA is a company that has bent all kinds of backwards to try and make their client acceptable. For years, they gave away free games once every 2 months. Get the On the House game. It's free. It's yours forever. And in all that time, I only ever made one purchase from them. No, that's not true. I made 2 purchases. Because I bought Sims 4. Wow, 3 purchases, I guess. More than I thought. I bought Sims 4 most recently. That was like the last year during the big seasonal sales. And I also bought the Command & Conquer Complete Collection at some point. Which I pretty much just bought because I wanted to play the original Command & Conquer again. What was I saying? Yeah. And then, what was the third thing I bought? Yeah, and the third thing I bought was the 2013 version of SimCity. Right, the big disastrous SimCity launch that happened years ago when they released their online-only game. It was a single-player game that could only be played online. and then when it launched, the servers were all crashing over and over again, so nobody could play it. That was a disaster in my house, man. We were really looking forward to that game. It sucks that it was such a terrible launch. Yeah, so those 3 things I bought off of Origin. And buying SimCity at launch was not cheap either. That was an expensive game. Ooh. Woof. So we really ate it on that one. But that was it. Origin is a funny thing because it doesn't really have a whole lot of games on it. You know? I mean, it's got some. It's got more than the Epic Game Store. But there's not a lot. They lost me, I think, when they started rolling out their, like, pay-by-month service or something like that. Pay for a monthly service and which just unlocks all the games as long as you continue paying for the service. Okay, that's fine, but the games that you offer in that service are not that many. Like, it would make more sense to just pick out the games you want, buy those, and then have them forever. I don't know. It's funny, though, because when I use Origin, there seems to be, like, people give them some slack because it's like, well, it's Electronic Arts. Voted the worst company in the world 2 years consecutively. So, what do you expect? It's really weird in that way. There's this sort of rope that they get because everyone knows that they're just so awful as a company. But Epic sure didn't get that rope. Everyone was really disappointed with the way Epic managed their store. So I like that Galaxy makes it so that these smaller stores that you only buy a game or two from, those come together. It's not going to replace Steam. I don't even think I'm going to launch any of my Steam games from it. But I like it in that regard. And this is after using it one time. So first impression is pretty positive. There's other cosmetic things that I really like. Okay, so like you have control over how game, like the box art that appears on your shelf for a game, but then you also have control of the background image that shows up when you click on it and things like that. It's difficult because Steam has the Steam library database. That's a service that's offered outside of Steam, but you can go there and get custom icons, custom Steam library icons for any game you might have. Whereas since this GOG functionality is very new, there's no equivalent for it. And that, you know, it is what it is. But alright, I'm getting on the highway now, and it is a busy morning, so I'm going to get off of here. I'll see you guys back in the studio.
Back again in the studio. I have been using the Steam and GOG new versions for a couple of days, and I gotta say, I haven't played Sims 4 even once. I really haven't played any of those games. None of those peripheral store games. It's nice to have them out and to consider them again. But now that the week is over and we're talking about video games, whoop. We good? Getting a little snap, crackle, pop there? Alright, I think we got it under control. The only game I think I'm really interested in playing right now is maybe a little Command & Conquer, the original version, because it still had those Holly Weird era full motion videos. That's something Command & Conquer did better than like any other game. It was the weird full motion videos. They were self-aware. They were amazing. Cain has his eye on you, and therefore we want you to start the third level. Where are we right now? We're 33 minutes in, and I think the last Vancast was a big one, so I don't know if we have time for another trick. All right, indulge me, guys. We're going back to the van. We're going right back to the van because I want to make sure we have time for the fail bag. Stick with us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio.
Okay, so we have someone who speaks another language. Yeah, he's really weird.
Friday morning, everybody. It's the Vancast, open air, 6:14. Haven't gotten in the car yet. Feels good. It's starting to get cold out. This is what I like, boys and girls. What do we got temperature-wise? Hang on, let's take a look. 48 degrees. Oh man, I love it. Let's get in the car. Get in the van, man. Hear that? That's right. You get every inch of that starting the car action. Complete with buckling, key turning, engineing. I feel like a 1990s Saturday morning cartoon, like toy commercial. Batteries sold separately. Alright, here we go. Backing up, and we're off to work. So it's been, I had a good evening last night, and it's been good. So where are we at? I talked a little bit about GOG Galaxy 2.0 last time I did one of these. I was really excited because I had just been invited to the closed beta, which I think a lot of people were over the last 72 hours. They expanded their beta like quite a bit. So, the very next day, Steam rolled out an update, which I think they may have already, but I had been putting it off, I hadn't been hitting the update button. Alright, so I hit that update button, and Steam rolled out a completely different library setup. This is huge. So Steam's library setup went from the classic Steam banners that we've had for, 13 years, and they flipped them over to these game box art style banners, the same way that GOG Galaxy 2 has. And they both did it at the same time. The problem with the Steam one is there's no switching back. You would think when you first see it, hey, this is a pretty modernized layout. This is pretty cool. Let me switch back to the old one for now, because not every one of these games has box art to match this, and it looks awful. And in the old Steam, you had 3 different ways that your games could look. You could have them in a text list, you could have them in a small rectangular banner list, or you could have them in the big banner layout that I'm familiar with. This is it. There's no switching in this new version. So I can tell you my son absolutely hates it. And I'm skeptical at least. My big issue was when the update rolled out, they got rid of all my the non-Steam games were in a category, and they wiped that one category out. I'm glad it was only that one category, because if they wiped out all my categories, I probably wouldn't be a Steam user anymore. To put things in perspective, every time there's a major Steam sale, I make a category for it, and then I group all the games together that I got there, right? So I've got, hey, winter summer sale, or winter sale, summer sale, 2015. So I think that's as far back as it goes. So you're talking about 4 years of data that would just disappear if they did that. So thank goodness the categories are still intact. So this is a weird transitionary time for GOG and for Steam together. There's no, right now there's no website where you can download custom art in the shape of a game box, which seems like it would be more valuable now because they both use the same style, whereas they didn't before. Before it was rectangular banners on Steam, and then GOG had these boxes. You didn't really have any control over what they looked like. So we'll see. We're gonna roll with it for a while, and we'll just see what comes of it. Let's just all agree on the fact together that the Epic Game Store is terrible and run by terrible people. And I think we can find common ground on that fact. Over on Twitter, I learned that Vaporwave labeled Junk Maker Sounds. Junk Maker Sounds produced the NHL 96 album. It's a chiptune album that I played here on the air once or twice several months back. It's a quality chiptune album. Junk Maker Sounds is hanging up their gloves. They're ceasing all production. So no more physical tapes to buy, but the music remains available to purchase online. So they're one of these labels that the individual downloads are free, but I think it's 50 cents, and you can get their entire catalog added to your Bandcamp account. So I grabbed their catalog one last time. I think I had done it before, but they'd released 10 albums since then or something. But that's not the point of the story. On Twitter, there was a rally together to get a compilation going in favor, or in celebration of Junkmaker Sounds. So I got in on it. I had half of a song that was done like in chiptune style, that I'd done with a little sequencer, and I threw some samples on it because remember, this is vaporwave. Slowed those samples down, made something really bizarre sounding and weird sounding, because that's what Junkmaker Sounds really was. That one album that I got, the NHL album, that was like a traditional chiptune album, but they were largely like, let's experiment with sound, let's make something bizarre, let's have fun with it. You were going to hear some weird stuff if you looked at their back catalog. So that's what I made, and I got in on it, which is great, because I do these, competitions like Chiptunes Equals Win or Battle of the Bits, and there's like pressure to all right, I gotta make this the best chiptune because I'm competing with these other people. No, it wasn't anything like that. This felt more like I'm gonna have fun with some sound, and there you go. And I had a great time doing it. It was fun. I wish I had it in front of me what the name of that compilation is called. I think it's called Scrap Heap or Scrap something. I'll have to look it up. But I got that submission in yesterday. I got an email today saying they added it. So I think I'm really going to be on this compilation, which is pretty sweet, because that's something I've never done. I managed to get my EP out, my short little album that was supposed to come out months ago. I put the finishing touches and got it out. Launch was pretty good. I think it got about a little under 50 plays, which in a 24-hour window for me is very, very good. They're harder now to do than they were 10 years ago, because in those days we had the 8-Bit Collective, which was not just a place to post your songs, but it was also a single cultural hub, whereas it's a little bit splintered now. So now if I want to get the listens, I have to make the rounds, right? I got to go to several different places. I posted it up on the Chiptunes Reddit and then the Vaporwave Reddit, and I got to go over to the Battle of the Bits and then go in their forums and post something there. I got to do a few different things. So it's not just like a single, this is the first 24 hours. It's a bit of a drawn out process trying to get it out there. So we'll see. It's I'm really happy with it. And the way I've decided to do this is I'm making tunes for me. And so I'm making what I want to make. And it's going to go up, and become available. And that's it. If 49 people listen and that's it, then that's it, and that's fine. When I was a child and I would draw a picture with a box of crayons at the kitchen table, it was okay to me that that picture was not hung in a public gallery and viewed by thousands of people. I was drawing those pictures for myself. That's not to say that other people weren't invited to look at it. That's not to say that I didn't want to show them to everyone. But that wasn't why I was doing it. I was doing it for me, and I made the decision that that's how I have to do music as well. Because now, there's a million more people doing it than there was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was already saturated. Now it's like there's more people making than there is actually listening. Cruising Bandcamp and buying albums and becoming fans of small artists, when you do that, that feels more like the fringe. Becoming take TT Slider, for example. TT Slider is a vaporwave / future funk guy that I like. Becoming a huge fan of TT Slider feels like the fringe, because that guy has got albums out with, this album appears in 2 other collections. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people have gone down the TT Slider rabbit hole, but I have. Whereas making these albums and putting them out, that feels like something a lot of people are doing. I don't know. I feel like I would be happy just getting in with a couple of people who do the same kind of thing, and trading albums with a group. Yeah, musically, that's where I'm at. I find that. Oh, hang on a second. Maybe it's just because I can listen to music in my car while I'm driving that it's been holding my attention more lately. But yeah, that's it. So we got the Junk Maker Sounds closure. We've got the Major GOG library, the Major GOG update, and then we have the Major Steam update. I think we're all caught up. Uh-oh. This is recording, right? Yeah, it is. We're 11 minutes in. I started to panic there for a minute. I turned on my phone again, and I'm used to seeing like this recording app that I've been using for a couple of years now. And I saw my desktop, and I was like, ruh-roh. I think I was just talking to myself for the last 11 minutes. All right, hang on a second. So it's Friday. Let's talk about the weekend a little bit. What am I looking forward to playing this weekend? Well, I gotta say it's been a chaotic week. The new baby's still not sleeping through the night, so we're running on fumes, my family. So I think my big goal for the weekend is spend time with the older children, because I don't want them to feel like they've lost attention because of the new baby, which is something that older kids go through when a new baby's brought to the house. I sat down with my daughter, who's 5, and we did a puzzle on the carpet yesterday. It was like I just walked in the door. I usually go up to my office and change out of my suit and tie and whatnot. But we ended up just sitting on the carpet and doing a puzzle, and I could tell that it was like, yeah, this is good. This is what we need. So my goal this weekend is to do more of that. That's where my headspace is at. Do that more. My son and I have had a lot of FaceTime, my older son, because he comes in the morning. A lot of mornings he'll come in and sit in my office while I'm hanging out and like watch me play a game, or like we'll check out some memes or something. We have a little time together every night and most mornings. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Yeah, during that time, over the past week, I've been playing all the way through Super Mario World again, which I haven't done in many years. And it's been fun, man. Fun thing about Super Mario World is like the first half of the game are these iconic levels that I've played a million times. But the second half of the game, once you get into like the I can't think what they're called, but the wood level where all the levels have secret exits you have to find, and then like the chocolate mountains. From those two on, like I never remember those levels, so it kind of feels like they're all new again. Last time I played through Super Mario World, and I was telling my son this story, was probably 2005. My wife and I had just moved in together, and we spent a weekend playing all the way through. Hang on a second here. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. We spent a weekend playing all the way through Super Mario World, which was a blast. It was a blast. We didn't have any kids yet, so we were able to do that. So you know what? We're going to play Super Mario World for 8 hours or whatever it was. One weekend we played the entire game. Now we played the game at that point. I'm talking about authentic hardware. There was no emulation. I mean, there was, but I didn't have it. I didn't have a computer. I had a Super Nintendo. That's what I had. And we, when we died, we had to go back. And that's how the game worked. So, yeah, those were good times. Those were good times indeed. Didn't get to play any games last night, though. My son and I hung out. We played our Super Mario World, and then I wanted to get on the computer, and then Windows had to update. And from what I understand, this was like a forced update, because I have updates off, because Windows 10, but this particular update, just like, hey, I'm here. I'm coming no matter what. You can restart now, or you can schedule a time. And here I am thinking, okay, it's an update. It'll take, probably like 10 minutes, and then I'll be up and running again. 2 hours this thing took. And the whole time it's running, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to deactivate my Windows key. We're going to go through this again. And I'm going to have to reformat my hard drive, and I'll lose everything. And then I started psyching myself out. No, it's fine. I can lose everything, and that's okay. All I need to save is the TCR archive. I've got a TCR working folder with intros and outros and all that kind of stuff. And then I also need to save my music folder with all my working projects of music in it. Those two things, everything else can go. Most of my video games save in the cloud now. So if there's if there's an error and I have to reformat my hard drive for whatever reason, it's not as catastrophic as it used to be. And I was getting ready for this to be the reality, but then as it turns out, it was like, this is 3 years of development, so we're forcing this on everyone. Like, all right, thanks, Microsoft. And last night I had forgotten the reason why people use Linux, which was interesting. I kind of longed for my Linux days for a little bit last night. It's like, this never happened in Linux Mint. True, I could only use 1/10 of my video game collection, but this kind of thing never happened. Yeah, Linux Mint. Updating Linux Mint was an adventure all on its own, though. Instead of having a 2-hour update, you'd have 20 updates that took a minute apiece. And then one day the sound just stops working. No reason why. It just, you know what? I'm done working. That was my experience with Linux Mint. Oh boy. Where are we at now? 18 minutes in. All right. I think that's enough for me. I'm going to send you guys back to the studio. We'll compare notes. I'll see you there. I'm going to go do my Friday at the office. Thanks for joining me on the Vancast. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Bye.
All right, boys and girls, we're back in the studio. You know what time it is. It's time for the fail bag. This is questions, comments, anything you got you want read on the air. You know me. Come on, let's go over it. First one we got is from Hemrock, and then we got a couple more comments over on YouTube. So let's read Hemrock's email to start with. Greetings, Critical Failure. I hope all is well with the fam and the new kiddo. Thanks for a great episode. No worries about missing a week of TCR. Having family members in the hospital can obviously be stressful. I've been there. So I purchased my airline tickets to DC and my MagFest ticket. I'm super pumped. What are your thoughts on playing some MTG at MagFest? I'm thinking of picking up 1 or 2 of those super cheap MTG lots with 1,000 commons and probably some cheap lands, so we can have our own drafts. I would also be interested in sitting down at a table during MagFest to see if we can get any interest from people walking by. Is that something you think may be worthwhile? I had a blast that one day we went to the card shop and made some quick decks for the common spin. Also, we should play some N64, given your brief and saddening discussion on the console in the last TCR. All right, Hemrock, we're going to break from the email so we can address some of these things. That sounds like a great idea. I've been meaning to pick up another 1,000 pack just for the house, just for the kids, because all of the Magic the Gathering we played since we got back into it, the day that we opened that 1,000 card pack was absolutely magic. The kids didn't even really know what they were at that point. They were just like, wow, there's this gigantic box of cards. They're all different colors. Let's sort through them. And it was like one of the best things we had done with Magic. Even to date, it was one of the most fun things we had. Now, the day you and I went and we bought our nickel bin decks was also a super cool moment in Magic the Gathering history for me. It's kind of a shame that the deck you built just got tossed into the stacks. But believe me, I still have mine. Yeah, so I'm definitely down. I would, I think I can help you out with some common acquisitions as well, because I think you can get 1,000 commons, but I think getting enough lands to power a bunch of decks, I don't know if it would be more expensive, but it might be a little bit more complicated. Like the kind of thing that you would actually want to do in an LGS as opposed to just like shopping on eBay or something like that. I don't know. We'll discuss it because I'm definitely interested. Now about the Nintendo 64. Yeah, I was kind of downer on it last week. I was asked what system, if any, would I be most willing to get rid of, and the one I picked was the Nintendo 64. Now hang on one second. I'm holding in my hand my entire Nintendo 64 collection. Now, you've been in my place, so I think we might have gone over this in person. But it's not much. I've got Forsaken 64 in the machine, which I really enjoy, but I know no one will ever play it with me. Ever. I've got NASCAR 99, which I don't know why I have that. All-Star Baseball 2000. Star Wars Episode Racer. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Okay, now here's the first good one of the whole bunch as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of Forsaken. Diddy Kong Racing. That's like one of the main reasons I haven't sold my Nintendo 64 at this point. So Diddy Kong Racing was like one of my son's first favorite games. When he was 2 years old, we would fire up Diddy Kong Racing, and he would hear the introduction. As soon as the Rare logo appears, you can hear children laughing, and he would scream because it was his favorite thing in the world when he was 2. Banjo-Kazooie, which I got from Sendu. Bust-A-Move 2, one of my great thrift store finds. I think it's like 20 or 30 bucks now. I got it for less than $1. Jet Force Gemini, also an amazing game. We should play some Jet Force Gemini. And Perfect Dark. That's my collection. It's not much. It really isn't. I never even got a hold of a Pokemon Puzzle League, which is like one of our favorite Nintendo 64 games. We know that one from the Virtual Console. I never owned a real copy. Alright, make way. Hold on a second, let me pause this. Alright, so what were you saying?
Yeah, I'll talk. Okay, so yeah, I did steal a whole lot of time on Pokemon Puzzle League on the Wii. Yeah, I'm banned from video games until October 11th now, but it was worth the while.
Alright, so you got up in the middle of the night and you played the Wii, and you would go on a tear all night to play the Wii. What games did you play? I know you played a lot of Pokemon Puzzle League. What else did you play?
Here's the games I played. I did play a lot of Pokemon Puzzle League. I tried Excite Bike one night, but I didn't really have a whole lot of fun, so I gave up on that.
That's Excite Bike World Tour, right? That's not the classic one that I grew up with.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, and I also tried Bomberman, and also didn't have a lot of time playing that.
Bomberman's a party game. I always felt like it lost something when you played it alone, in my opinion.
Yeah. I also played this new Super Mario Brothers Wii thing. Like, it's supposed to be, supposed to look new, but... Yeah, it's supposed to look new, but...
Of the Mario games that you've actually played, which one's your favorite?
Probably Super Mario World, because even though I can't get anywhere, that's another game I played. Even though I can't really get very far in it at all, it's still a really fun game.
All right. Good man. And you're still banned from video games until October.
Yeah, I'm banned from video games until October 11th. Back to you, Dad.
All right. Write in if you want Junior here unbanned from video games.
Unpause.
It's not. I never paused it. It's not paused.
Please comment to unban me. Save the children.
All right. Let's continue with the comment. He writes, you talked about PC Steam versions of Final Fantasy games. For some games with graphic mods like 7 and 8, it might be pretty cool, but otherwise I think I prefer other ports. This is especially true for earlier games like 4, 5, and 6, where Square Enix has changed the graphical style to me to look hideous. Seriously, what were they thinking with 5 and 6? For 5, I recommend the GBA version, especially if you have a way to play GBA on a TV screen, like with a Game Boy player for the GameCube. And for 6, I think your best bet is the original SNES version, or at least get your hands on the PS1 remake. At least they didn't fool with the graphics. All right, so my opinion, Hemrock, on the Final Fantasy games is they had to make moves to resell the games that you can just get through emulation, right? One of the big downfalls of emulation is input lag. Most people will tell you if you try and play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on an emulator, you're going to feel like a small fraction of a second of input lag, and it's enough that you'll never beat it. But Final Fantasy games are like the first games that come to mind when it's like, what's a game that I can still play with input lag? So they had to find a way to resell those games to us, and I think that's why they changed. They sell ports with altered graphics. I mean, that's just my opinion, the opinion of a cynic. Also, I think you listed off like just about every one of the Final Fantasy games I've never played. When I was a kid, I never played our American versions of Final Fantasy 2 and 3. I never played those. My older brothers did, but not me. All right, let's see what else we got. Thanks a ton for reading my email. I know it was a long one. I appreciated it, man. Thanks for sending it in. Yes, I agree that Civ 2 has a broken pathfinding mechanic. However, I really hope that doesn't keep you from checking out many of the interesting scenarios for the game. A solution, as tedious as it may be, is to use the arrow keys on the number pad on the right-hand side of the keyboard. Although you'll still have to move each unit one square at a time. It's still faster than using the mouse, and it doesn't rely on pathfinding, which may inadvertently put your units across the map. Making a CDR of Hemrock's official expansion pack for Civ 2 sounds pretty sweet. Speaking of Civ 2, I just finished a working prototype of my scenario yesterday. However, it's buggy, and I still haven't completed the events.txt file, which is a big component of that game. Hopefully I'll be able to send you an early working copy in the next few weeks, but there's still work to do. All right, quick break from the email. Would you ever play Civilization with me?
I don't even know what that game is, Dad. First you'd have to teach me, and I still don't think I'd like it very much.
You don't think so?
Correct.
All right, let's take a look. Do you want to take a look?
Will I be able to play?
I mean, eventually, once you've served your time for the crimes that you've committed against humanity and my television.
No, then!
All right, no Civilization. Not for Junior here.
Don't call me Junior. My name's not Junior.
What is your name? What is your name?
I know I'm not supposed to say it on the air, but please call me anything that would make sense. That is not my real name.
It's okay, you can say your real name. All right, we're going back in the air now. Let's go back to the email. We'll get back to Civilization. I want you to play Civilization with me at some point.
I don't want to play Civilization with you at
What
some
about
point.
when you get older?
Maybe when I'm 25.
Do you know what it is? You might like it. What if it was a game where Mario punches people in the face?
Well, then I would just rather play Super Smash Brothers.
All right, get out of here. At the last minute, okay, we're gonna address Civilization 2. That's the golden box. I guess my picture's in front of it, up there.
Did I say Super Mario Brothers? If I did, I meant Super Mario Smash Brothers.
All right. Yeah. Civ 2. You brought it up the last couple emails. I want to play it again, especially since I had an affectation for playing my old CD-ROM based games, and that's what led me to try out Warcraft 3 and get that all set up. So the last couple ventures into my old CDs have been very fruitful. I've benefited them quite a bit. So yeah, it would be fun to play Civilization 2 again, especially since I've done so little with expansions. That might be the perfect thing to, bring the game back. At the last, back to the email. At the last minute, I pre-ordered the Sega Genesis Mini, and it just got here today. It's pretty awesome, and I'm glad I bought it. Unfortunately, due to being a working adult, I've only played it for about 15 minutes. Man, I feel you, brother. Here are a few pros and cons from the little I've seen. Ooh, careful. Pros. It has a handful of games I'm interested in playing that I don't already own, including Darius, Elysia Dragoon, Thunder Force 3, Mega Man The Wily Wars, and Contra. Although I technically own this one, the cart's broken. The interface is beautiful and intuitive. That's good to know, because the interface in the @Games one is garbage. Easy to use with save states. Okay, question, Hemrock. Does that mean you can save state with physical cartridges? No, it's a mini, so it doesn't have a physical cartridge slot, right? It comes with 2 controllers, which is good, and the emulation seems accurate. How is the sound on that? Because sound is always where Sega Genesis emulation gets put to the test. Cons. The console is very light and it could be easily pulled off the counter, especially when using the bundled USB controllers. All right, break from the email here because I had a brilliant idea. Okay, not a brilliant idea, a really garbage, weird idea, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. Guitar pedals. Do you ever play the guitar, Hemrock? Try looking on, go to Google image search. I'm going to go there right now. We're going to go to Google together, and we're going to Google a guitar pedal board. Okay? So what the guitar players do is they get these pedal boards, which are essentially just strips of sheet metal with slots in it for cables. I'm going to bring one up so I can describe it to you better. Oop, get a little snap, crackle, pop there. Yeah, here we go. So you've got like maybe 3 strips of metal that's like 2 inches across, and then they're separated by big gaps so you can wind cables underneath it. What if you built a guitar pedal board, but instead of pedals, it was these weird micro consoles? The only part of that, the only flaw in that plan is that each console would need a different controller. So I don't know how that would work. But I had that idea. It would solve some of the problems with space and your issue with it being too small and being yankable right off the counter, because that was a problem with the Raspberry Pi in my opinion as well. That's like a weird thought I had. I feel like with just a little bit more innovation we could make it work. Just something out there. It's worth taking a look at what a guitar pedal board looks like if you've never seen one. All right, let's get back to the email. Especially there's game. Okay, yeah. Speaking of controllers, they packed in the 3-button version. That's a cup and a half of lame sauce, especially when there are games in the system like Street Fighter that really necessitate the 6 buttons. But yeah, I know making us buy the 6-button version separately is a way for Sega to make more money. I think they have some deal with Retrobit, which sells the official 6-button USB controller that's fully compatible with the Mini. I've heard that not all USB controllers will work on the system. That sucks, bro. The select sound on the menu screen is incredibly annoying, and I didn't see any filters like scan lines or smoothing. It's a small gripe, but it seems like that would have been an easy addition. Alright, so you're saying this thing uses USB controllers? Bruh. Can make a small guitar pedal board with a Raspberry Pi and then a Sega Genesis Mini right next to it. It's great. The only problem is you got to put Velcro on the bottom of your system so you can fix it to the pedal board. It's great. Like, I kind of want to get one of these things just so that I can do that now. Here's a question for you. Does the TurboGrafx Mini work off of a USB controller? Because if it does, we're doing this. It's going to be guitar pedal board with a TurboGrafx Mini, Sega Genesis Mini, and a Raspberry Pi. Absolutely doing this if it does. I've got some research to do after the show. Did I hear Torchlight 2? Yeah, I'm up for diving back into that one. It's just a matter of finding the time. I hear you, brother. That might be a good one for MagFest? Maybe Thursday night? Since we'll be saving some time, we'll just do some local Torchlight 2. I don't know how we would make that work. Did you ever show your son Super Mario All-Stars? Now, my son's present right now, but we looked at it together. They're talking about Super Mario Bros. 3. I talked on the air about how I showed you Super Mario Bros. 3 and you didn't like it. And we all kind of agreed that was a travesty. So he was like, what do you think about Super Mario All-Stars? Now, I showed that to you, and your opinion was it looks even worse than the last game. I don't really get that, but that's what you said.
Yeah, like, the graphics overall look a bit better, but something that just ruins it is the colors. It's like the colors. The question blocks are like a darker shade, and you can just see that difference. It just doesn't look so much like Mario because of the different shades of colors. This might seem weird to you, but because of that, I don't really like it.
A lot of people complained that it was really busy, I guess. I remember when I was your age, when it first came out, I thought it looked really dope. But then when I got older, I decided I liked the original version better. But to each their own. I'm trying to convince him to play the battle mode that Super Mario Bros. 3 has. I get in fights with people all the time. Just play the NES version. It has the battle mode too. No, it doesn't. The NES mode does not have the same battle mode that the Super Nintendo one does. The Super Nintendo has a ranked battle mode, first 1 to 5 matches, and the NES one just doesn't have it. Doesn't have it. Special Easter egg only for the SNES game. Back to the email. How does your son? How did you find out that your son was sneaking into your office to play games? This is actually a really awesome story because you left it on. He was playing the Wii and he left it on, and I was like, oh hey, don't play while I'm not around, because I thought, oh, he'd just been playing like the last 20 minutes or so, right? Well, here's the thing about the Wii. The Wii logs how long you've played each game for each day, and I hadn't played it in weeks. So I was able to go back through like the bulletin board in the lower right-hand corner of the Wii, and it told me, yeah, we've been running this game for 8 hours today. And here's the other thing. If it was just one game, I would have thought, oh, he just left it on, and the game just ran. And I never would have thought that he had been playing that long, but he would jump around from game to game, and that's how I figured it out. Next question. How often did you do that as a kid? Were you ever caught? All the time. And I was caught all the time, too. To the point where my parents used to smash video game systems. I've told these stories on the air, too. My dad smashed our Nintendo when I was younger, and he tried to smash a Super Nintendo with a rubber mallet once, which was hilarious because it didn't work. But a big thing for me was sneaking downstairs to watch late night television. I used to like the talk shows. When I was like 14, 15, around that age, I watched a lot of Conan O'Brien when he was still doing his original late night show that would air right after Leno. I used to do that stuff a lot as a kid, and I got in a lot of trouble too, so what are you going to do? Yeah, and I was caught all the time. My mother had her bedroom sat right in front of like the landing to go down the stairs. So if you wanted to go downstairs, you had to walk in front of my mother's room. And she would see me, and she would stay up as late as it took. Our house was also very old, so you couldn't go down the stairs without it creaking. So, yeah, I got caught all the time. Take my friend and keep rolling. Take my friend. Thanks, man. I feel like I'm reading that wrong, but that's what it says. Take my friend and keep rolling retro. Thanks, buddy. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you on MagFest. P.S. Did you hear the Kool-Aid Man is coming to Smash? Oh, yeah! No, I didn't hear that. But I keep hearing people talk about who's coming to Smash. And I gotta say, I'm losing interest. Actually, not really. Oh, no! But just give it time.
That's funny.
Before you know it, you'll be having a 4-way brawl with Mario, Kermit the Frog, Elmo, and the Kool-Aid Man in Super Smash Bros. 16. You know what? I can't wait for that day. Because that game's going to cost stinking $80. All right. So that's Hemrock's email. Hemrock, my man, always a pleasure. Let's jump over to YouTube. And we're going to read the comments. Last week, I went through posting the podcast, and it was dead silent. Hour-and-a-half show, dead silent. And it stayed that way until I fixed it like 2 days later. Or however long it was. So I think I had some issues where the last one didn't get listened to quite as much because of that. Let's take a look. Oh my gosh, we went to the... YouTube has snapped to the non-real-time subscriber count, which I'm morally opposed to. It now says 1.57k subscribers for Tiger Claw TV, which, I'll tell you something, is not accurate. Because I'm definitely 1.56. I'm gonna jump into the studio now. Bear with me while it loads, everybody. Yeah, I don't like that. I want to see the regular subscriber count. Yeah, 1.5. Yeah, 1.574. That's not too bad. It's really good actually for me. Welcome new subscribers, I guess. Welcome, Swedish bot hacks and whatnot. Let's head over to comments. Oh my gosh, I feel like this is dragging on. What are you gonna do? Oh boy, here somebody left an angry comment on the vet video. Oh, I haven't gotten one of these in years. This is awesome. All right, so he writes, and he uses some swear words, so I'm going to clean it up. This guy is so stinking high, he forgot what he was doing. You were going to show off the tour mode, then you just did the race and ended the video halfway through. What the heck, bro? I'm giving that guy a heart, and I'm making it sticky. Hold on. I haven't gotten a hate comment in years. You got to be a special kind of famous to get hate comments. Hold on a second. How do I go there? Right-click the video. Does this guy have videos up? Oh, no, he doesn't. Because that would be awesome. I would be his biggest fan then. I can't go to the video. How do you go to the video?
Dude, put up some videos.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It happens. He probably has videos up on another account. That's another thing that people do. People will make... I know because I've done this. People will make... they'll have like a Prime account where they do all their normal stuff, and then have a secondary account where they leave hate comments. All right. I'm going to look myself up. Spelled it wrong. Oh, boy. What is it doing? Somebody started something called Tiger Claw TV with a Y, Tyger, and it's asking me if that's what I meant. What? I've been around for years. I've been around for a decade. No, I didn't mean Tiger Claw with a Y. All right. All right, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going
What's
to
going
pin
on,
this,
Cassette
this
Culture?
comment.
I buy a lot of cassettes off of Bandcamp.
Yeah. Shut up, other version of me. Okay. Spectrum Holobyte. We'll go down here. Tour mode was off, but yeah, fun driving around the game 7 months ago. Where's the new comment? It's not here because he used swear words. Oh, man. Oh, well. No, wait. We'll find it. Sort by newest first. Yeah, there it is. Can I pin it? Pin. You already pinned a comment. This will replace it. Yeah, there you go. All right. That was a treat. Sorry about that. I enjoyed that very much. What else did we get? Oh, yeah, now I got to go back to the overall comments. Yeah, here we go. Now we got from last week's episode. Here we go. Yeah, Mecha Menace. The irregularity of missing a Monday TCR. Those hiccups are like the dreams where you go back to school because you forgot a course, or those weekends where you have to go on to a project through both days and wake up on Monday thinking it's Sunday. The anxiety is somewhere between. Hey, it's a baby. Not that you're surprised, but I'm glad you're happy. The VHS glitch track is like a combination of the SNES pastel sound with a guitar and a harp of the heavy sound of the Sega Genesis. Yeah, but I dig it. 1 hour and 5 minutes, he says, haha, sneak into the game time at night. I could never do anything, do that as a young kid. My parents kept the Sega Genesis in their bedroom. Say, with all these kids ninjaing around, what do you think you've done instill a sense of care to expensive or complicated game items? I imagine it's pretty basic. Don't throw or break things, repeated and reinforced over time. My dad had a large collection of books when I was a kid. Still does. I had full access to it, and I never disrespected it. Though, I didn't have the enthusiasm for his books as I did for my stuff. You know what, Mecha Menace? I think it's the last part of that story that worries me the most. If I teach my children that video games are not something to have fun with, they won't have fun with them. So you're right. I could just teach them how to handle them, and it would be fine. Especially since he's 9 years old. He's getting older now. What do you think, kiddo? You want to learn how to handle expensive video games? Here, hand me one of these.
I want to learn how to handle expensive video games, but first I want to learn your password.
Here, do you think you could handle something like this? He's picking he's holding a copy of Twisted Metal 2, and I'm freaking out inside. He's holding my copy of Twisted Metal. Put it back. Put it back in the tray. Don't touch that. It's not for you. I'm kidding. All right. CD-based games. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine if you actually played Twisted Metal 2. Do you know what Twisted Metal was? Twisted Metal was like a racing game, but there was no finish. The idea was the cars would just shoot each other. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good time. I don't know why they don't make games like that anymore. We haven't had one in years, but
That's too weird.
you don't like that? Do you like racing games? You used to like racing games.
I like racing games, but Twisted Metal sounds
Yeah, it is a little weird, but
weird. Cool Borders.
he's holding a copy of Cool Borders 3. Cool Borders is an awesome game. You can open that up.
The DVD, you know.
It's not a DVD. He thought a PlayStation 1 game was a DVD.
Sorry! Get that out!
Alright. Okay. To put it into context, I'm not freaking out as much because the last one's like $13, and that one's like $5, but a little bit. He's holding my copy of Cool Borders 2. That is an awesome game. That is a really good game. You ride a little snowboard down a hill that's covered in snow. I guess that's really all there is to it. You're gonna have to take my word for it that it's fun though. I gotta read the comments or we're never gonna be done.
I'm dancing with it on my thumb.
Alright, Julia writes, yes, I play on an Xbox. Good guess. Dead by Daylight is Stranger Things Orama right now, which is cool, but it's already getting a bit old. You didn't really touch on my very awesome idea of video games based on stupid 80s horror. There are so many amazing ones out there, and ones that are so profoundly bad, you wonder how anyone got a budget or a crew behind them at all. For how many bad B-horror movies there are, and how they were once popular, you'd think there'd be some games inspired by them. There are, some. Unless there already are, and I just don't know about it. Okay, bye. Alright, Julia, let me lay this out for you. Games based on old horror movies goes back quite a bit. The earliest ones I can think of were, believe it or not, for the Atari 2600. They've become quite collector's pieces now. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre had an Atari game where you played as Leatherface and you would kill people with a chainsaw. Most of the people who would listen to a show like this, who know like Atari games, have probably seen this. Look it up. It's good for a good laugh. I mean, Atari didn't have much to speak of, but just the idea that you were Leatherface in this weird blob of pixels, and the whole point of the game was to take a chainsaw to people. Even in the world of Atari, it was weird stuff. It was weird stuff. Another game that I would recommend for you, even if just to look up on YouTube, Splatterhouse. Splatterhouse 2 for the Sega Genesis, or Splatterhouse for the TurboGrafx 16. Splatterhouse was a 90s game, okay? And it had every bit of what you're talking about. 80s horror, super ultra violent, but in pixel form. Play Splatterhouse. At least look it up on YouTube so you know what it looks like. That's I think is right up your alley.
So you want me to play a horror game, Dad?
Do you want to play Splatterhouse?
No? Do you want me to play Splatterhouse?
I don't know the answer to that. I would have to think about it.
Well, once you get your answer, I think it would be no.
Kind of not, but I also know that if I absolutely forbid you to ever play Splatterhouse, I know that's all you're gonna want to, all you can think about. For you, there's better games out there. There really are.
I'm not even interested in Splatterhouse.
When you brought it up.
But still, you're sounding like you still wanted me to play it.
All right, Death Adder writes, I'll never miss a week of TCR. Critical Failure's new baby. Hold my beer, or a baby bottle. Just kidding. Congrats on the new baby, and don't kill yourself trying to get a weekly episode out for us neckbeards. Thanks, bro. You mentioned The Sims on console. I've been playing The Sims 4 on Xbox One right now. It's the first time I've ever gone hardcore into a Sims. It's been good times. Although I did start a new house where both people died in a fire in under 5 minutes. I have no idea how to put it out. So I just sat there horrified. Good times. All right, let me tell you a story about The Sims. Death Adder. The first time I played through The Sims, I was playing Sims 3, and my character's name was Woodrow Maynard, and he was a journalist. Okay, so I got tired of being in the starter house, so Woodrow Maynard moved in in the starter pack in Sims 3. There's one house it's like the bachelor pad, and it's got like 5 young single people. So he moves in with the 5 young single people, and he did what any other bachelor would do, which is quadruple murder. That was where I learned you could take all of the people and put them in a pool and then close off all the entrances, and then there wouldn't be any people. So he inherited the big house, and then I stopped playing forever because it was a bit too creepy. See, in the days to come, Woodrow Maynard would then weep the loss of his roommates, and I just felt like it was too bizarre, and I couldn't hang with it. So I stopped playing for quite a long time after that. But yeah, it's good times. The Sims are a weird series. Some bizarre things come from The Sims that are just really emergent of the game. You know what I mean? That chain of events was not something that was planned or programmed out like a cutscene, which is one of the reasons why I appreciate it so much. And I think that's it. The hate comment, and that's everything. All right. Boys and girls, this episode of TCR has been a little bit different than most. I enjoyed having my son hang out with me. So thank you for indulging me and letting us do this together. And let's roll the ending track. Oh boy. You guys know they're cliches at this point, which really bothers me that they're cliches, because truer words have never been spoken, and that is time. Ladies and gentlemen, time is the greatest currency. So I value the time that you spend here hanging out with me, listening to the Infinity Girl album, and joking around about video games. It is really something special. And so whatever it is that you have to do as you move forward into your week, I hope it goes well. It won't go as planned. It never does, but I hope it goes well, because I'm rooting for you. And I'll see you next Monday.